The most dangerous travel destinations and why people go. There is a corner of this planet where the road signs are riddled with bullet holes, where the air tastes like sulfur, and where the travel advisory reads simply, "Do not go." And yet, every single year, thousands of people buy their tickets anyway. They pack their bags, ignore the warnings, and step off the plane into some of the most volatile, unpredictable, and genuinely life-threatening places on Earth. The question is not whether these destinations are dangerous. They are. The question is why on earth anyone would choose to go there, and what happens when they do. Welcome to TravelSphere. Today, we are going deep into the world's most dangerous travel destinations, unpacking exactly what makes them so hazardous, who is visiting them, and the complex, fascinating psychology behind why human beings are drawn to places that could kill them. Understanding the danger index ***. Before we dive into specific destinations, it helps to understand how travel danger is actually measured. The Global Peace Index, published annually by the Institute for Economics and Peace, ranks 163 countries across 23 different indicators. These include ongoing conflict, political instability, crime rates, terrorism risk, and access to healthcare. At the bottom of this index year after year sit places like Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, South Sudan, and Somalia. These are not destinations experiencing minor civil unrest. These are active war zones, some of which have been in continuous conflict for decades. The United States Department of State maintains a 4-level travel advisory system. Level 1 means exercise normal precautions. Level 4, the highest, means do not travel. Currently, roughly a dozen countries sit at that level for designation. And yet travel agencies, war tourism companies, and independent adventurers continue to organize trips into these exact territories. In 2023 alone, an estimated 2,000 to 3,000 travelers visited North Korea through sanctioned tour programs despite it holding a level 4 designation. That number represents both the appetite for extreme travel and the complexity of understanding danger in tourism. Afghanistan, the roof of the world under fire ***. Few places on Earth carry the weight that Afghanistan does. Decades of Soviet occupation, civil war, the Taliban regime, the postal 9/11 American presence, and the complete Taliban takeover in 2021 have made this one of the most consistently dangerous nations on the planet. The country holds breathtaking natural beauty. The Hindu Kush Mountains rival the Alps in scale, the ancient city of Balkh predates recorded history, and the Wakhan Corridor is one of the most remote and stunning landscapes anywhere on Earth. Before 2021, a small but growing community of adventurous travelers was quietly discovering Afghanistan. Backpacker accounts from 2017 and 2018 described extraordinary hospitality, jaw-dropping landscapes, and ancient Silk Road history completely undiluted by mass tourism. Travelers reported feeling genuinely welcomed and experiencing a culture almost entirely untouched by the commercialization that has hollowed out so many traditional destinations. Since the Taliban retook control, those trips have become exponentially more dangerous, particularly for women and journalists. The kidnapping risk, combined with total lack of consular support, makes independent travel there genuinely life-threatening. And still, a small number of extreme travelers enter each year, most through Pakistan, accepting risks that most people would consider unthinkable. Yemen, war tourism in the Arabian Peninsula ***. Yemen has been experiencing one of the world's worst humanitarian crises since 2015 when the Saudi-led coalition entered the ongoing civil war between the Houthi movement and the internationally recognized government. Millions of Yemenis face famine, cholera outbreaks are widespread, and entire cities have been reduced to rubble by airstrikes. Yet Yemen was once considered the crown jewel of Arabian travel. Sana'a, with its tower houses decorated in geometric white plasterwork, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities on the planet. Socotra Island, often called the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean, holds plant life found nowhere else on Earth. A very small number of travelers, typically journalists, aid workers, and extreme adventure tourists, continue entering Yemen. Those who go often describe a mission-driven motivation. They want to bear witness. They want to document what is happening before ancient architecture crumbles further. Socotra, being geographically separated from the mainland, has actually seen a modest trickle of tourists even during the conflict period, largely because the island has remained somewhat removed from the worst of the fighting. The dragon blood trees, the turquoise beaches, and the prehistoric atmosphere create a destination so singular that some travelers decide the risk is worth experiencing something that may not survive the century intact. Somalia and the piracy factor. Somalia has occupied the very bottom of global stability rankings for over 30 years. Since the collapse of the central government in 1991, Somalia fragmented into competing clans, militias, and eventually the rise of Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda-affiliated insurgent group that continues operating across large portions of the country. Yet Somaliland, the self-declared independent state in the northwest, presents a genuinely different picture. While not internationally recognized as a sovereign nation, Somaliland has maintained relative peace and built functioning democratic institutions. Its capital, Hargeisa, hosts a small but enthusiastic community of travelers drawn by the fact that they can truthfully say they have been somewhere almost no tourist has visited. The last Jeel cave paintings outside Hargeisa are approximately 5,000 years old and among the best preserved rock art in all of Africa. Most people outside East Africa have never heard of them. For a certain type of traveler, that obscurity is precisely the point. North Korea. The ultimate controlled experience. North Korea represents a uniquely different category of danger. Unlike active war zones where the threat comes from crossfire or criminal actors, North Korea's danger is almost entirely state-controlled. All tourism is government-managed through approved tour operators, most routing through Beijing. Visitors are accompanied by government-assigned guides at all times. Photography is strictly regulated. Movement is completely controlled. The country allows tourists in not for economic benefit, though that plays a role, but largely as a propaganda exercise to project an image of a functioning, modern nation. The risk for travelers is real but statistically concentrated on specific behaviors. In 2016, American student Otto Warmbier was arrested for allegedly removing a propaganda poster from a hotel wall. He was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor and returned to the United States 17 months later in a vegetative state, dying shortly after. His case cast a long shadow over North Korea tourism and led the United States to formally ban American citizens from visiting. Other nationalities can still go legally, and roughly 4,000 to 6,000 Western tourists visited annually before the country closed its borders entirely during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The psychology of danger tourism. So why do people do this? Why does any rational human being look at a level for travel advisory and respond with a booking confirmation? Research from the field of risk psychology provides several compelling answers. The first driver is what psychologists call sensation seeking. This is a measurable personality trait characterized by the need for novel, intense, and varied experiences, combined with a willingness to accept physical, social, and legal risks in pursuit of those experiences. Studies show that high sensation seekers have fundamental differences in dopamine receptor sensitivity compared to the general population. Their brains are, quite literally, wired to find reward in risk. The second driver is the scarcity principle applied to experience. When a traveler knows that a destination is closing, destabilizing, or changing irreversibly, the urgency to visit intensifies dramatically. Travelers who visited Syria before 2011 describe it as one of the most magnificent countries in the Middle East, Palmyra, Aleppo's Souk, the Crac des Chevaliers. Much of that is now rubble. Those who went when they could carry memories that are now impossible to replicate. That awareness drives others to visit fragile or endangered places before the opportunity disappears entirely. The third driver is meaning and identity. For a significant portion of extreme travelers, visiting dangerous destinations is a form of narrative construction. It creates stories that define them, that separate them from conventional experience, and that connect them to something they perceive as more authentic, more real, and more significant than a beach resort in Cancun. The ethical question. None of this exists without ethical complexity.